Hey guys, I have the new GoPro Fluid AI gimbal here. This is a small gimbal designed for both GoPro cameras and phones using the included phone mount. It should be compatible with any action camera that falls within the 400-gram payload it's advertised as handling. So I'm going to dig into it here. I do have quite a few negative things to say about this so far. I don't know if I'm going to keep it at this point, so stick around, let me show you what I found. All right, before I dig too much into what I consider negatives on this, just keep in mind that I do have quite an expansive collection of gimbals designed for both phones and cameras, small and large. We've got like this older style Tech gimbal. We've got the DJI OM7P, the Insta360 Flow 2 Pro, Hohem, I don't remember the model on this. It's like iSteady V3 Ultra. We've got the Tech Scorp Mini. That one also will handle a GoPro camera. We've got the DJI RS4 Mini here, which will hold a GoPro just fine as well. And then I've got the RS3 that I've been meaning to sell and just haven't gone around to it yet. So with that said, one of the first initial impressions on this phone and GoPro gimbal here is that this is a very chunky, dated feeling body on this thing. All of the newer ones feel more thick and substantial and just more dense feeling. This one feels like a lot of hollow plastic in it. And part of that's probably because they're not taking advantage of things like hiding the legs of the gimbal inside the mount, inside the body, which all of the newer gimbals are doing now. I do need two hands to get at this one, but the Hohem, the Insta360, and the DJI have all switched to that form of leg, whereas this one's using an older style that screws on like a tripod mount. Let me switch my camera over. So on the GoPro gimbal, you just got standard tripod mount on the bottom. There's no way to hide the legs. So all in all, it makes this thing really big. And then probably the other reason that this thing just doesn't feel as beefy is that the head doesn't extend up like it does on all these newer gimbals. If I could show you here on the Flow 2 Pro, the head extends out. And not only that, it tilts, which will be important later when I go over some of the limitations on the tilt axis on this thing. And the same for the OM7P. You've got a extending and tilting head. I know it's not good to be turning these on like this, but so on that topic of it feeling cheap and hollow and plasticky, probably the only nice feeling thing on this gimbal is this wheel here, which you use to control light brightness. If you long press on it, make sure it's facing you. If you long press on it, it will turn a light on, and you can use the wheel here to get it brighter or less bright. And if you tap it, you can then change the color temperature from 2700 Kelvin up to 6500 Kelvin. And going along with that cheap feeling, let me turn off my track here. Okay, along with that cheap feeling, there's something up with the joystick on here. It presses in even though it's not a button. And then when you press up, it kind of clicks out of being pressed in. And you can press it down again, and when you press up, it clicks out of it. So it's a very, I don't know, not a smooth feeling joystick. It's very crunchy feeling because of that. And it's just cheap plastic. It's just weird how it pops in and out. Going through the list here, the next thing that caught me off guard was how limited the tilt axis was on here. So tilt is when the camera can point up and down. And on here, it's set pretty slow, but you can tilt down way beyond what you would ever need to the point where you're viewing the gimbal arms. It's just like excessively, you can almost go full rotation. And then it stops right about here. Let me reset it. Let me flip it back around the other way. Okay, so now the limiting factor is how far you can look up. And right here, you're hitting a limit. That's it. So you can look up at that angle, and nothing more. So if you're walking around with this thing, you have to hold it upright. You can't be dipping it forward, or else you run into that problem where it can no longer keep the horizon level because it can't look up enough. And let me turn it off and show something interesting here too. If you have the AI tracker on here, it actually rubs. I don't know if that's being picked up by the camera. It actually rubs up against the arm here. And that's not something where you can just move the arm in or out. That part there doesn't adjust. So it's funny, but if you reverse the tracker to face the other way, it doesn't rub. I just thought that was interesting how they literally have no clearance. And as far as that tilt goes, it's actually hitting this piece of plastic here as a stopper. That's what it's hitting, limiting you from tilting up any farther than this. And there is no extendable head that you can tilt to make up for that like you can on these smaller phone gimbals. I just figured for something this big and chunky that they would have designed it to go up farther and maybe not need it to go all the way around and tilt all that direction. Let me turn this back on here. So the other thing I found is, and I'm gonna put this in, right now it's pan, tilt, follow. I'm gonna change the mode to pan follow, which basically, if I pull the trigger twice to reset it, it should keep the horizon level, right? As I tip it, it's keeping the horizon level. And what I've noticed is if you tilt it, let me reset it again because I've already done it. If you tilt it past that point where it can't tilt anymore, it starts to point down. And normally on a gimbal, when you bring it back to level, it would follow you and keep the horizon level. But in this case, you can see it's just stuck pointing down. So if you're filming and not really fully paying attention, and you accidentally just dip it for a second past that point, you no longer have a level horizon. You're gonna have to reset it. So it kind of makes things feel real sloppy, especially where it's so easy to hit that tilt limit. It would have been nice if they just moved that plastic piece somewhere else along the tilt range to give it more upward mobility and less on the downward. But that for me is a major issue here. Another thing that I've come across already too is this thing has its own app. It doesn't use the GoPro app, it uses a Fluid app. It looks like it's a third party maybe that makes it. So let's see, connected here. All right, I'm gonna set it on motion control. And oh, my screen came off. One of the cool things about motion control is it lets you start motion control and control the gimbal using your phone. Let me hold it in my hand here. All right, so let me stop it. Let me reset it and keep my phone level. When I hit start and point the camera up, you can see it looks down. And if I point it down, it looks up. If I go left, it goes left as expected. Right, right as expected. If I tilt it left, it tilts it right, so it's reversed. So I'm gonna stop motion. Let me get my screen capture thing out of the way here. And if I go to settings, you can see up, down is checked off as inverted. So I'm gonna go ahead and uncheck that. You go back. I'm gonna go back to settings. I can verify it is unchecked. Let me start motion again. Whoops. And now when I tilt up, it's still tilting down. So there's some kind of bug in the software where left and right is working. If I rotate, that's still reversed. So there's something wrong with the app here. It's just not reading the controls the right direction, or at least in the settings, it's not listening to that checkbox of being inverted. And speaking on that Fluid app that you have to get, there was a firmware update on this thing and it literally took 25 minutes to do. It was such a painful process. You cannot let your screen turn off on the phone or it cancels out. You have to be there tapping your screen to keep it from shutting off or else the update fails. So along with that size, just something else to consider. I definitely wouldn't buy this if you were planning on primarily using it for a phone. I would pick up something like the Flow 2 Pro, and the big reason on that is not only the size, because you can see this thing shrinks down. You don't have to have a separate tripod mount. It shrinks down and it has a very small phone clip or the ability to use magnetic MagSafe adapter on your phone, which you can snap on, click into the mount, turn it on, and instantly have something ready to go, as opposed to the GoPro one where you've got this chunky clip. Oops, I gotta take my MagSafe mount off for this. You've got a chunky clip to put around your phone, and it does hold a big phone like the S25 Ultra just fine. And then put it on the gimbal, and basically you have this big bulky thing as opposed to something small and portable. So keep that in mind if you're gonna travel with it. It's really awkward to carry something this big, and it doesn't fold up nice and small like all of these other phone gimbals out there do. So we have a 400 gram weight limit on this gimbal, which is actually pretty good since all the phone gimbals seem to top out around 300 right now. But for reference, a GoPro Hero 13 in a media mod is 207. If you want to throw on the light, we're at 233. If you want to throw on a mic receiver and then the wire needed to use it, we're at 259. And then that still leaves you tons of headroom for something like a magnetic mount on there. So I always test the AI tracking ability on these gimbals. So what I'm gonna do is I've got the recording started on here. One of the first things we want to do is check out the smoothness of it when you're moving fast, or if you're standing still. Is it jerky? Let me position this. What's too bad is that I can't raise the head up and down like I can on all these other ones, so can't get it at the exact height I want. So I'm going to do the OK hand symbol. It's tracking me. I'm going to dip down, do the reframe, stand up, reframe again. It is nice having a camera. Oop. There we go. So now I should be more in the top half or the top third of the video. It is nice having that small screen on the GoPro so you can kind of see where you're aiming. Standing still, if I make minor adjustments, is the GoPro gimbal going to be smooth or is it going to be jerky? And I've got the DJI also on me. We can use that for comparison. Although I will say the OM7P and the Insta360 Flow 2 are just a little bit smoother than, did I just turn off the tracking on accident? No, they're a little bit smoother than the Pocket 3. So, and then if I move fast, so I do have stabilization off on the GoPro. If you don't, you're gonna have that issue where if it pans a little, it's gonna hold the picture still and then start jerking it over, because that's kind of how hyper smooth works. It doesn't know if you're shaking it or if you're doing a gentle motion, so it delays a little. So what I'll do is I'll go out of frame here for a second, and I'll come back in. And you can see it lost me already, even though that was only a few seconds. Let me reset it. Do the tracking. Okay. Actually, that'll be interesting. Let me turn off tracking. Oh. If I stand off to the side and start tracking, it does put me back in the center. Okay. I was kind of hoping maybe it would just frame it based on where you're standing. I could see that being an either way if people like or hate that feature. So let me put this gimbal a little bit different position here. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go out of view again. That was just a few seconds. It did pick me up. Probably it didn't look as smooth as some of the other gimbals I've tested, but at least it did it. Here's just a touch longer. I can see the light turn green on the tracker like it knows I'm here. Okay, here's 10 seconds. Re-grabbed me. Here's 13 seconds and it's lost me. Does not re-grab. So that is very consistent with the Hohem gimbals that I've also been using. The Pocket 3 is another camera that doesn't track very long. just because it's so much older probably than the Flow and the Flow 2 Pro. And those will track, this thing here will track for 5 minutes and still grab you on when you come back in frame. But the Hohem, which is the brand new iSteady V3 Ultra, just came out. It's very similar to this GoPro gimbal, where once you're out of frame for about 13 seconds or so, it's gone, it's not gonna recapture you. And that might not seem like a big deal, but if you're filming yourself like in the woods, I know a lot of people do the hiking footage and stuff, they'll set the camera up on a gimbal, they'll walk out of frame, and then they'll walk back into frame and have it track them as they walk along a path. This thing is not gonna be good for that. Nothing like the Flow 2 or the OM7, which will smoothly grab back onto you and follow you. So basically with that said, it's not that it's a horrible product, and I only say that because there just isn't much competition for smaller gimbals that can handle a GoPro or designed to fit them. The GoPro itself has really good stabilization, so you're not gonna get a whole lot of benefit using one of these unless you're in low light, where typically the hyper smooth and stuff doesn't work too well. So the other thing worth noting though that you get from using a gimbal like this is an A and a B, which lets you, let's see, we'll pick a position. I swear the joystick is reversed. Hold A, pick another position, hold B, and if I press A, it will go back to that position. If I press B, it will go back to that position. If I do A again, I don't know quite why it took the long route to get there. It's going the opposite way I intended. Let's do B there. So now if I hit A, nah, it should have turned the other way. All right, so there's still more bugs and stuff they definitely have to work out on this. As far as balancing this goes, it was a pretty easy process, but what's really tough is that normally after you balance it for the up down, which this isn't perfect right now, you would tip it up and let go and hope it stays there, but this one doesn't let you go far enough up to do that. So I guess you can flip it all the way the other way, let go. If it stays still like this, you're good. Again, I don't know if you can hear that, but it's rubbing. And then you can do left and right balancing on here. So that's like where I wouldn't normally recommend this gimbal because it feels so dated and buggy right now. But at the same time, I don't know what else to recommend unless you want to pay big bucks to get an RS4 Mini, but then you have this big chunky thing that has a lot of the same issues where like the legs don't go up into the base, and it's bulky and doesn't fold down flat and things like that. So, but if you do buy this, the AI tracker is a whole lot better, which kind of seems like the whole point of having this one. I guess my recommendation would be, if you need something like this, this isn't waterproof anyway, so maybe you might as well just use a phone instead of a GoPro. So I don't know, just review your options. I guess keep an eye out for improvements in the software and software updates they do. As of today, this thing, and this is like within a week of release, it is fully up to date and I'm having all these issues. So maybe just wait it out and see how things go and see what people say as it updates. I was kind of surprised though, a lot of the issues I brought up I haven't seen mentioned by anybody else. So that the tilt is the big thing. The fact that at this point it's already forcing it down just kills it, for me anyway. So there's a good chance I might return this. Although I could just add it to my collection of like 7 or 8 different gimbals right now. But let me know in the description or in the comments below if you have any questions, and I'll see if I can answer anything that you have. Thanks for watching.